Let's have a new sports. Victor Allen's own unique look at sports. Hot Neil Urban. There it is, brought to you by the bald-headed black man. And here he is, the man the ladies have nicknamed Sexual Chocolate. Here's Vic.
Bam.
Yeah.
No women in the house, and I don't have to worry about explaining how sports roll. I can tell you this much. I won't have to explain too much, but I can tell you a lot more once I get started here. New sports, this is how we do it. Social media is one thing, but social talk around the sport is another thing, and that's what we try to do here. We don't have no runners. Nobody provides us any information. We receive no emails, no reporters, or anything like that. My cell phone does not ring off with people trying to chime into my sports segment. Maybe because they don't think it's good enough. I'll accept that. But what we want to talk about first, and I know that the Tebow thing is coming, but I truly believe before I do the Tebow thing, is that when you don't have a lot going for you in the media spin, they go to hunt and search for it and ask the same questions over and over and over again. So to me, I think they're just always redundant questions, and it's a great time for it. But I'm going to go to New York because I think this is huge, and somebody can tear this down. New York Knicks are 5-0, the only undefeated team.
Compared to the Lakers.
An undefeated team in the NBA. Okay, now I'm going to strip something down real quick before we go there, and before I even do that, to let you know we're going to rate this based on a number of conditions that apply or may not apply, such as balling. Are they balling? Are they big pimping? Something for the ladies. AARP, if you don't know what that means. Let down, upset, whatever, spank that ass. And I'm just going to disqualify myself right now from spank that ass because it's too soon. I'm saying, how impressed are you, Mario, about the New York Knicks being undefeated? And then I will give you some more factoids to allow you to sit back and have that.
I'm impressed, and you know I'm a Carmelo Anthony fan ever since we did that photo shoot thing with him.
Right.
And I got a chance to meet with that brother. That is a nice brother.
Yep.
Down-to-earth brother from one of the coolest millionaire sports players I ever met.
Yep.
You know, I had to give it to him. So he made me a fan in that 15 minutes. So
right.
I've been a fan since. So I like this brother. He's class act. And I like the New York Knicks. It's one of the few things I like about New York.
Right.
I'm just giving it to him. Hey, but here's really the big thing about New York, which is I would normally be woo, 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 woo.
Right.
Except Vic. I refuse to ever allow myself to get caught up in any kind of wave of emotion behind supporting Amari Stoudemire. I'm sorry. He burnt me out back at Phoenix, okay, dude?
Right.
I mean, this is a cat I've been rooting for. So how long is he? Like a 12? What year is he in the league? He's
at least 10, maybe.
I think at least 10. That's what I said.
He came in early out of high school.
Okay, because that's why. So Vic, I supported him so much early on. I think you and I used to talk about how much I was impressed and thought he was going to be this thing at Phoenix. Okay,
yeah.
And since it never happened, so that's my only issue. To me, Amari Stoudemire has a history of playing his worst ball or fouling out or something whenever he's most needed. So till the day comes that he actually stands and proves himself, and after all these years, he still has to prove that he can be the man when the time comes. And to some extent, you might apply that a little bit to Carmelo, but Jason, I think, has proven himself. Tyson has proven himself. I'm a Carmelo fan. You know he has to maintain his all-around game in the face of playoffs. That's still his challenge also.
And I will say this also, the part that's more centered around you get caught up in the hype. I truly believe that if you had, this is where you guys are going to get this different cut on this. Let me point this out first, too. Number one is that you have Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler. They're the holdovers from last year. Last year, it was about the transition of, even with Baron Davis being gone, Jeremy Lin, Amari Stoudemire, J.R. Smith being that fifth man, if not the sixth man. Now you insert Jason Kidd, Ronnie Brewer, and Raymond Felton. If any of us would have said, okay, you know what? They're about to sit back and lay waste to the division. None of us saw this coming. So even if Stoudemire, as you said, Mario, which I agree with, even if he didn't provide, you didn't see that they were going to come with these players. Not
5-0. Even though I've been saying, I've been saying for a while that I expected the Knicks. I actually was one of the people who expected them to do a little bit better before this.
Yeah.
To gel around. So I'm still kind of going with this with the whole Knicks thing. And I may be Vic. This may be a year for New York because between this and the Brooklyn franchise,
right?
I think you may just. I know the energy that I can just imagine.
Right.
The energy in that city from them.
Right. Yeah.
So it's got to be wonderful.
It's the part, and here's the other part, and adding more to this so people can take away. They say it's too early. It's 5-0. They're undefeated, which is undefeated. Here's the stat that tells you. I think it was more about the coaching, and I'm gonna say this for a reason because when you don't have a popular coach, it's hard for people to gravitate to him. So I always say, here's the part where I said the former coach with New York. He was okay. His name was Mike D'Antoni. Okay? Now, all right, so I'm just saying this.
Remember, I liked him.
Right.
Remember, your criticism always was lack of defense.
Right.
And I always just liked the way the teams flowed.
Well, see, this is the part where I said.
But I give it to you.
If he's New York, if he's good enough for New York, and he's good enough to play in L.A., then you have to kind of surround yourself with a style of coaching, and maybe the players themselves got caught up in the hype of, you have no defense. I said, I want to remind you guys, this was an assistant coach on the Olympic team, okay? So that means something in there that works for him that takes him above the other coaches, whether it's Coach K, whether it's anyone else on the squad. He was sitting sideline to sideline. So the part I'm getting into is Linsanity's gone to Houston. Stoudemire's not in the game. You got some players here. Let me just give you an impressive stat, even for 5-0. The point differential between wins and losses is 15.8. Second place is like 9 points a game, and that's across the board.
No, that's what I'm amazed.
And here's the other stat, so you understand that, yes, incredible. Offense wins, but defense really can carry you along. Every team that's in the NBA right now that's allowing 90 points per game scoring is above 500. So I want you guys to understand, here's this team that's actually winning by an average of almost 16 points a game. That is such a turnaround from last year with players that you would say this will never happen. So it may be early.
Must be coaching or something, or maybe it's got to be. Coaching is definitely part of it.
Right.
And like I said, I think New York, man, with all the stuff, they are tough folks, even though they can be assholes. They tough now.
Right.
So all this adversity,
yep.
I think the New Yorkers can respond. At least the New Yorkers I know. I got a bunch of family in New York.
Right.
They're going to respond with a lot of heart. They do have heart.
Right.
So I think what you're seeing really is, Vic. I really think it is just a resurgence of the whole general metropolis area there.
Yeah.
In terms of their sports, especially as it relates to competitiveness with the West Coast. When you think about the consolidation of what's here in Los Angeles now.
Right.
Doesn't that make New York getting bigger and badder? Even in some ways, you almost inviting more rivalry and across multiple sports.
Right. I just think what happens that they leave out, it's unfair to the coaches, because who would not want a Phil Jackson if you're talking about L.A.? And yes, if you can go to a Mike Brown or anyone else, I said they carry the burden that most. If you had to go and look at the players and say, how do you feel when this coach is coming in? If the players already know how you roll and they know if they don't respect you coming in, I don't care what you do.
I'm blocking. Yeah. Who's coaching New York now?
What's his name? Former Atlanta coach. Cannot remember. I'm blocking his name right now.
Oh, but he's been playing. I know you're talking.
Yeah.
He's been in the playoffs.
He's doing right.
Yeah, he's been in the playoffs the last.
But see, here's the part when I'm saying.
I liked him. I'm blocking on his name too. I liked him. I know you're talking about.
The part that I said that New York has done, you got Jason Kidd in there. But if you go look at Raymond Felton, who formerly, he's returning back there, of course. You go look at Raymond Felton. He breaks down the game in such a way that you go, oh, you know what? Linsanity didn't do it this way, although Linsanity had his big spark. And then you go look at Ronnie Brewer, the journeyman.
Mike
Woodson.
Yeah, I remember. I liked him. He's been in the playoffs for perennially almost.
Why are they undefeated? And why is the defense now? They just defeated.
I don't know.
They just defeated. I believe it was Orlando yesterday. I can't remember who they played. I think it was Orlando. I mean, it wasn't not 8 points. It was not 10 points. They are beating teams soundly, and they're doing it with defense, which they complained about the whole time. Mike comes in immediately and says, I have a philosophy on defense. So the whole idea now, I'm saying this. I said, I think it's when the players respect you. See,
always.
I think when they respect you, that's what comes
that's got to be in there, right?
Yeah.
And that's player to player for the chemistries, right?
That's right.
Even if you're arguing on the team, if you respect each other's ability to do the job, that's what brings you together as a team.
Right. So are they, now it's early, balling, big pimping?
Balling and big pimping.
In New York, is it something for the ladies?
Totally.
So you give them a twofer.
Yes, and I think the city needs it right now, and I think it's one of the things I'm willing to get, go on and have your moment in New York.
Right. See,
I'm competitive in New York, but New York and New Jersey are having such a hard time.
Right.
I kind of, and I appreciate these players so much.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to say, hey, salute them for a minute.
Yeah. I just think there is a thing there that comes together, and the coach is going to win. I just think it's a wonderful thing early in the season. Yes. Will they have their streaks of losses? They probably do, but stay with the philosophy that's just working, because I'm blown away that you say New York Knicks are undefeated. Now let's go over to the subject that everybody's going to say, here we go again. I say timing is a bitch. And I'm not saying that the New York Jets are imploding, but when Tebow gets blasted, and I said, well, why is he getting blasted if he's not playing in the game? Because you don't blast other players who are backups who are not in the game. So when all of a sudden a Matt Slauson, the guard, offensive lineman, decides to weigh in, he's not doing it in a hateful way. What he's saying is real simple. He's not even close. He says, our backup quarterbacks know what they can do. Everybody knows it. He's not even close. Now, should he, Mario, Matt Slauson, the offensive guard who says, I am a supporter of Mark Sanchez, is it right to tell the truth or wrong to tell it at this time?
It's just wrong to tell this time. You got an imploding team. How does that help?
It
doesn't help. It just doesn't help. I don't have anything. You know what? I actually like Mark Sanchez, too. I'm just confused by his performance.
It's bad.
I have no comment because I've been a supporter of his.
Yeah.
I was even when he left early, right? I was then. So I'm just confused because I don't know why they're not. I'm confused about the New York Jets.
Yes,
as a person who's supported that team.
Right.
I have no comment because I can't understand what's wrong.
I'll say
they're just not doing anything right.
Well, a lot of things is happening here, and I'm not making up excuses. But this is where you have quarterbacks who are not just one-dimensional. And I'm going to say this for a reason. Now, I'm not going to compare it to these are college guys, but it's a perfect example. They say Matt Barkley, Heisman Trophy candidate, the whole thing, USC. He's one-dimensional. He's from that old mold that I have to stay in the pocket. You break down any of my offensive line, I'm out of it. It's very difficult. Now, you actually go to Johnny Ball, and I go Johnny Manziel, A&M. He says, I can't sit there with the Alabama rush of the nation coming at me, so I have to use my legs and my athletic talent to make my team better. So I'm the new evolving quarterback that's going to be mobile, and I'm going to be a threat. And I actually sat there and said, Sanchez, you're from the old makeup. If your offensive line and all the things around you break down, the defense is not what they used to be. They've been injured. The offense is not what they used to be. They lost players. So now you have Sanchez wanting to have to say, you can't go to his old playoff days and say, he did this then. I said, did you go look at the team then? Those players are not there anymore. So now you have to evolve the quarterback into other skill sets. He doesn't run. He is a pocket step back. That's it. Everything breaks down around him. When they figure that out, you let the Hogs rush in. What did it do with USC and Barkley? Soon as Stanford said, break the line down, we're all coming. Everybody followed it. So they say, bum rush Matt Barkley, get him out of that pocket. They can't produce as much.
It's these kind of criticisms that are legitimate that, okay, I don't understand this emphasis on discussing Tebow. Now, to a certain extent, I know that's the media.
Yeah.
But also the players themselves.
Right.
For him, okay, see, I could say, Matt, you're talking about he's terrible. Your offense, and you're the starting guard. Right. Aren't you terrible?
Yes.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm
to
saying.
me, you're not saying I'm terrible. Right. Y'all not moving the ball against nobody. Okay. You can't run for shit. Okay. And you're the starting guard.
Right.
So I guess you're terrible.
Right.
See, and you can't blame that on Tim Tebow who ain't played.
That's why.
So the New York Jets are a terrible team.
Absolutely.
Tebow hasn't played. Has nothing to do with how terrible they are.
Yep.
So, and yet this is the topic of discussion.
Right.
Ryan's got to go. He's got to go. The team is all out of control. They look totally undisciplined,
Right.
not just in play, but in their off camera.
Right.
He's supposed to know to keep his mouth shut based on who the. I bet I bet you this. How come when Bill Parcells is the coach, I bet you nobody has to tell people not to say shit to the media.
Oh, no.
I bet they don't have to say shit.
He thrives on that because you know what they're doing, Mario?
Right.
They're saying this. He's taking this. Everybody know this. He's known for defense, right? A defensive coach. He walked into a team that was loaded on defense.
No, I know he thrives on this.
And he's not an offensive.
Right. No, I'm with you
strategist.
but see what happens is they're not performing.
I agree.
So now, and to me, even when I'm a fan, there is this level of non-performance that becomes so overwhelming.
It's
when
bad.
you look this undisciplined,
Right.
That starts from the top.
Right.
Even when you lose, you're supposed to lose with a certain air of discipline, this and that.
Right.
No, Vic, it's inexcusable.
Yeah, and here's the part that you have to understand. There are certain cities that you have to go into going like this. When you come to L.A. and you go to New York, maybe even Chicago, and let's just throw in Miami. I call it the major cities that says, we don't have unknown players. We have a media central that has to take full advantage, even if it's a disadvantage, to make you guys prevalent. You know what happened to the New York Knickerbockers before they cut that name off? They were in obscurity.
Right.
I said, you needed something to energize. The closest thing they had was Tebow because they didn't have anybody else.
Right.
And they took full advantage of it.
But then I have no trouble with why you make the decision.
Right.
You still have to take responsibility for the performance.
Thank you.
Period.
I agree. See, we're both saying the same
Yeah.
thing. Their motivation was they satisfied a lot of people. They stimulated the New York base. They had the New York Giants who were delivering championships. And then they also had to turn around and say, we need to have a groundswell. Now, coach, it's up to you to make them perform. And the money people around him going, we gave you what you needed. Now what are you going to do? You can't complain that you don't have the players.
They made it a topic of discussion. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
All right. So here's the story at the end, Mario. Is it a big-ass letdown? Is it a whatever?
It's a big letdown.
Yeah, it is. It's a letdown.
It's a letdown because see, I would be really quiet if I was on an offensive line that was underperforming.
Right.
I wouldn't be saying a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
Unless they're going to go look at my films and say, hey, he made 85% of his blocks or something.
Right. I'm going to say it's a whatever.
I hope he did. I don't know.
I'm going to say it's a whatever because I think it was already there. I think it's a spin.
True.
I think
Right.
this is another spin.
It is a spin.
It is what it is. And PMC, yes, I do know about Roethlisberger, out indefinitely, rare injury. I'm going to say something else. I look for him to bounce back because I think he's that tough. The fear I have.
Let me find out about the injury. Some stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff you can be tough and it won't make no difference.
Right. Rare rib injury. I understand
gotta go,
that. Because how he fell and how the lineman fell.
Right. If it's something where you can try to play with pain, that's a possible thing.
Right.
Some things are just going to hit the performance, like Ray Lewis tearing that.
Right.
It's torn.
It's torn, man. It's done.
It's torn. So
be careful. We want to watch for Vic. My hope is that Vic does not return soon. If there's anybody, even if they're failing to take that kind of hit, I watched Jay Cutler bounce back from a half a season last year of getting slammed. Nothing compared to what Vic's going through. His health lies ahead of him in such a way that I think he's so far beyond, it just hasn't caught up with him. I think I would be going like, I need to change things right now because the punishment he's getting.
Yeah, and also I agree with you, and I would take $100,000 my own money and have someone build my Kevlar padding. I would invest in my own. Ooh. I would go get the #1 legal pad. I would consult with the NFL too to make sure they invite any rules.
Right.
And I would also make it part of it. See, it's good PR for the NFL too.
Right.
And get the best padding. Because they can make stuff that's lightweight, that's like light as a feather, and won't deform at all. Right. The more it bends, the stronger it gets, so it actually has rebound.
Right.
They have materials like that, and I'd have my vest made of the best materials that they can find worldwide.
And
because a rib injury to be fatal has to break and puncture something. That's where they usually occur. You pop a lung, you break a rib, and then typically it's just pain.
Right.
But if you actually get a fracture that moves, you can pop the lung or damage other things. But usually it's just a matter of that.
Yeah, and I'm only saying with the Vic thing, I'm saying take the time off, not just to repair the possibility that it'd be further injury, to change your whole scope of how you play. I think you need to change.
Yeah, learn to read a defense. Yeah. At now.
And
See, this gets to be like Tommy Romo.
Right.
How many years you in the league?
Yes.
It ain't changing.
Yeah.
That's you.
And
move on.
And New York Jets and Eagles have the same problem. Bad offensive line protection.
That's why they shouldn't be talking, right? About somebody being terrible.
I'm done, you guys. New
Everybody.
Sports. Thank you, man. Big Ben, he's
That's
on
right.
his way back, man.
New Sports. Mr. Allen's unique look at sports. You can get it at PaxDale.tv. The big new. Watch for the app. Watch for the app.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Watch for the